Ever wonder why you hum a tune when you are alone in the shower? Or when you are walking down a dark street by yourself? Don't pretend you haven't done it. You think it is because you love music? Or maybe you are just feeling happy? Wrong. That is not the reason. In reality, it is an ancient survival instinct that is, honestly, kind of ridiculous. While predators have sharp claws and eyes that pierce through the night, our ancestors were just weak, hairless creatures standing upright. They had nothing but a brain full of anxiety. Why does music even exist? If it does not help you hunt a deer or pick berries, why did evolution keep this useless trait? The answer is not in fancy symphonies. It is in the terrified screams of your ancestors in the dark thousands of years ago. Today, we are not talking about art. We are talking about weapons. A weapon you use every single day without even knowing it. But wait, do not turn on your favorite song just yet. Let us look at how your ancestors used it to hack their own fear. This is Grog. Grog has no fangs. Grog cannot see in the dark. Grog is basically a walking dinner. Inside this cave, Grog is facing a serious problem. The problem is silence. Darkness is not just a lack of light. It is a void filled with strange noises. You see, our hearing is quite limited. It is a cosmic joke. We can hear a leaf fall, but we cannot pinpoint where the tiger is hiding in the bushes. Grog sits there. His heart is pounding like a drum. Cold sweat is dripping down his face. In Grog's world, darkness is a deadly gray zone. If you cannot see the enemy can definitely see you. And believe me, they always see you first. This weakness is not a flaw. It is a curse. Our ancestors were not born to be kings of the jungle. They were born to be potential victims. Do you ever get the creeps when you walk into a dark room? That is the Grog inside you waking up. It is the genetic memory of those long nights. Back then, not knowing what was behind you was a death sentence. Grog had no claws to slash. He had no muscles to fight a saber-toothed beast. He only had two choices. He could sit still and wait to die. Or he could find a way to make this cave a little less terrifying. But how do you fight the darkness when you have nothing but your bare hands? Grog started to realize something. While his eyes were useless, his throat was an untapped weapon. He did not need to see the tiger. He just needed to make the tiger rethink eating him. That is right. The game is about to begin. And it is nothing like what you see in the cartoons. Grog starts to experiment. He lets out a loud shout. The sound hits the cave wall and bounces back to his ears. Science calls this resonance. Grog just calls it something that just happened. He realizes that every time he shouts, he can feel the size of the space through the delay of the echo. That is right. He just scared himself. But do not laugh yet. This is the ancestor of biological radar. By making noise, Grog is scanning the cave. If the echo returns quickly, there is an obstacle nearby. If it rings out, the path is clear. This is not singing. This is a primitive engineering process to locate enemies without using useless eyes in the dark. You see, sound is a form of physical energy. When you hum, you are creating mechanical vibrations. These vibrations do not just fly through the air. They hit every surface. They even hit the skin of a stalking beast. Grog realized that if he made enough noise, he was no longer a lonely prey. He became an object of unknown size. He starts tapping a rhythm. Not for fun, he is drawing a sound map in his mind, and then he realizes something much more interesting. One person shouting is just noise, but if the whole tribe shouts together, that is a disaster for any beast brave enough to get close. Imagine you are a saber-toothed tiger. You are hungry. You are stalking a group of weak creatures. Suddenly, instead of the terrified silence of prey, you hear a resonant, deep, and powerful sound. It does not sound like the roar of an animal. It sounds like a giant, formless creature. That is the sound-based firewall. When Grog and his tribe chant together, they are not just singing. They are creating an acoustic field that fills the cave. For the tiger, this resonance makes it impossible to pinpoint a target. It thinks its prey is something massive, numerous, and incredibly dangerous. Singing back then was a spectacular bluff. It was how our ancestors hacked the fear of predators. The tiger does not run away because it is afraid of humans. It runs away because it is afraid of something it cannot locate. It would rather find easier prey than face a creature that can create such terrifying resonance. That is right. The first music was not for flirting. It was not for relaxing. It was a tool to deceive predators, and it worked so well that tens of thousands of years later, we still have the habit of singing whenever we feel insecure. Only now, instead of scaring tigers, we just scare our neighbors with our shower singing. But wait, if the only purpose of music was to scare off beasts, why do we sing sad songs? Why do romantic melodies make people cry? Were our ancestors trying to scare their lovers with whiny tunes? Not that kind. Here is the fun part. Once we stopped worrying about getting eaten by tigers, music changed its function. It shifted from a physical survival weapon to a social survival tool. You see, surviving in a dark cave did not just require strength. It required trust. How do you know who is an ally and who is an enemy in the dark? If you sing in the same rhythm as me, we are on the same side. If you sing offbeat, you are an outsider. Music became a social filter. It forced our brains to synchronize. When the tribe stomped their feet, clapped their hands, and hummed together, they were performing a brain-syncing ritual. Now, here is the weird part. This synchronization triggers a hormone called oxytocin. It is the hormone of love and bonding. It makes you feel safe when you are around people who are singing with you. So, next time you feel sad listening to a breakup song, remember this. It is not just your own sadness. It is the call of an entire tribe trying to find connection in a world full of invisible dangers. This synchronization is no joke. You think you are listening to music because it sounds good? No. You are listening because your brain is obsessed with rhythm. In the wild, chaos is the enemy. If you do not know when the predator will strike, you die. But if you know exactly what happens next, thanks to the beat, you are in control. Look at that guy over there. He is offbeat. In a hunt or a battle for territory, his lack of rhythm could give away the whole tribe. Rhythm is the protocol that makes everyone act like a single body. When the group stomps their feet, the vibration travels through the ground. It creates a sense of power that spreads through your entire body. At that moment, they are not weak individuals. They are a fighting machine. Science calls this neural resonance. When you hear a heavy drum beat, your brain automatically adjusts its waves to match that rhythm. That is why you cannot sit still when you hear EDM. And that is why our ancestors became masters of rhythm. They did not need clocks. They had the beat of their hearts and the stomping of their kin. They hacked their own nervous systems to turn fear into unity. And you, even while sitting in an air-conditioned office, still carry that rhythm-hungry brain. Do not try to fight it. It is the legacy of those long nights. Your ancestors survived because they never missed a beat. So why are humans the only ones who can do this? Why can't a gorilla sing a tragic opera? The answer is right there in your throat. We possess a larynx that was redesigned by evolution. It allows for a level of pitch control that no other primate has. Do not laugh. That gorilla is trying its best. But its vocal structure is only built for roaring, not for singing. Meanwhile, our ancestors went through a miraculous structural change. Standing upright helped the larynx drop lower. This created a much larger resonance space in the throat. This was the secret weapon. Thanks to this pitch control, Grog could create sounds that were not just loud, but complex. He could mimic the wind, other predators, or even the cries of his own kin. This was the birth of language. But before language became a tool for debating philosophy, it was a tool for survival. You see, the instrument in your throat is not just for eating or talking trash about your coworkers. It is a masterpiece of biological engineering. Next time you hit a high note and crack your voice, remember this. You are operating a complex system that your ancestors spent millions of years refining. You are not just singing. You are using an ancient technology that helped humanity survive the darkest nights. So, do you get it now? Music is not something we create for entertainment. Music is something we become to fill the terrifying void of fear. When Grog started to sing, he was not just making noise. He was declaring his existence in the cold, vast universe. Here is the final twist. Music is how our ancestors hacked their nervous systems to turn fear into confidence. Fear is a red alert biological signal. Music is the forced off switch. When you sing, your brain is forced to focus on your breath, your rhythm, and your pitch. You cannot sing and tremble at the same time. It is a biological state that just does mix. You think you are just singing a song? No, you are performing an ancient ritual. Every time you hum in the shower, in your car, or while walking alone at night, you are reenacting that moment Grog stood up in the dark cave. You are asserting that you are here, you are fine, and you are not afraid. Your singing today is the most powerful survival weapon your ancestors used to suppress fear in the dark thousands of years ago. So next time you belt out a tune, sing it loud. Do not do it for anyone else. Sing it for the primitive human hiding inside your brain. They need it to keep on surviving. You see, the journey from a shivering creature in a dark cave to a modern human humming in the shower is just a loop. We have not changed as much as we think. Your brain is still Grog's brain. It still craves safety. It still fears the dark. And it still uses music as the most powerful sedative for the nerves. Music is not a luxury gift of civilization. It is a primitive survival tool. It is a roar refined into a melody. Without that singing, your ancestors would have died in the dark long ago. And if they died, you would not be here to wonder about any of this. So next time you feel lost, afraid, or are simply standing in a space that is eerily quiet, just sing. It does not need to be good. It does not need to be on key. Just sing. That is how you perform an ancient ritual to assert your existence in this vast universe. Your singing today is the most powerful survival weapon your ancestors used to suppress fear in the dark thousands of years ago. Never stay silent, because silence is when the darkness wins. You see, the journey from a shivering creature in a dark cave to a modern human humming in the shower is just a loop. We have not changed as much as we think. Your brain is still Grog's brain. It still craves safety. It still fears the dark. And it still uses music as the most powerful sedative for the nerves. Music is not a luxury gift of civilization. It is a primitive survival tool. It is a roar refined into a melody. Without that singing, your ancestors would have died in the dark long ago. And if they had died, you would not be here to wonder about any of this. So next time you feel lost, afraid, or are simply standing in a space that is eerily quiet, just sing. It does not need to be good. It does not need to be on key. Just sing. That is how you perform an ancient ritual to assert your existence in this vast universe. Your singing today is the most powerful survival weapon your ancestors used to suppress fear in the dark thousands of years ago. Never stay silent, because silence is when the darkness wins.